Jackson, how are you?
Great, Rob. How you doing, man?
Man, today's a good day. I've been very excited for this interview for a while. And so thank you so
Nice.
much for being on the Redden Show. Welcome. And so today, everybody, we're talking to Duke Jackson. He is a career stuntman. How many movies have you worked on?
I don't keep track anymore. I think my IMDb is up to around 200 and something.
So the good way to term that would be plethora, right?
Plethora, yes. Plethora of movies, yes.
A plethora of waking
To
up next
quote the
day
Three
very sore.
Amigos. What's that?
A plethora of days of waking up very sore.
Yes. We'll get into that later, but yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned, guys. We're going to see all the things that he's been going through that caused him some pain. But he's here with us today. I'm very excited about that. And so, Duke, I really want to start out with your childhood. Like, what was your family life like growing up, wherever you're from, those kind of things, and take it away.
Sure. Well, I'm from a pretty unlikely place to be a stuntman in the movies. I grew up in Golden, Colorado. It's a little town. It's known, put it on the map, what's known for is Coors beer. In fact, my grandpa worked at Coors for 25, 30 years, I think. Retired from there, knew what he called old man Coors, who founded it. Right there, snug, kind of nestled right in the foothills as you start going up into the mountains of Colorado, kind of behind a couple of mesas, and then Denver's like half an hour or so away. It's really, for that time where I was, it was like I thought it was a perfect spot. You're
Pretty close to Boulder, right?
And you're right next to the city. And we're like 20, 30 minutes from Boulder, south of Boulder, Colorado, where all the hippies lived.
Yeah. It's a different place, man, but beautiful.
Go up there and watch them hippies be crazy. But anyways, yeah, man, it was a great place to grow up, but way far away from Hollywood. And I mean, I didn't consciously think about being a stuntman when I was a kid. What's crazy is when I was a kid, I wanted to work with sharks. I had an infatuation and love for sharks. I wanted to, as a kid, I wanted to be a shark catcher, but I didn't know what that meant. But basically, a marine biologist is what I wanted to be, and then focus on sharks. And I always thought that I always believed that one day you would be able to swim with a great white shark outside of a cage and grab its fin and be able to swim along. I always thought that was possible when I was a kid. And this is right after Jaws came out, right? I saw the movie Jaws and I wanted to work with sharks. So kind of opposite of what most people got out of watching the movie Jaws. But when I was a kid, I saw that movie and I don't know why, but I thought it'd be the coolest thing to work with something like that. But I had this belief that they're not evil, they're not bad, they're not man killers, they're just doing their thing. And if you approach them correctly in the right way, they can be like any other animal and can be, touched and dealt with. Well, now we know, if you've watched the internet, that is possible. It's been done now, but this is probably not until 2010 or something that you see these videos coming out with, like Ocean Ramsey grabbing onto a shark or swimming with, great white shark or whatever. So when I was a kid, I had this dream that that's what I was going to be doing, and that's what I wanted to do. Again, pretty landlocked in Colorado, so I didn't get out to the ocean that much. But when we did, it was the highlight of my life, basically, to go to the ocean and take our vacations to California. So that was kind of my dream. My dad was a pastor, Baptist minister, had his own church there in Golden, started it and pastored his church. And I think he, probably wanted me to somehow go into the ministry. And I had sometimes thought about that. But for whatever reason, staying in suburban America in a church was like the worst thing I could think of. So
Shawshank,
what's that?
like Shawshank.
Exactly. Like it just had no interest in me at all. So I'm like, well, maybe if I can go be a missionary in some distant land and tracking through jungles with headhunters, that might be cool. But just being a pastor at a church in, suburb of Colorado, not so exciting to me. So, sometimes I play around with that a little bit, growing up, but, I don't think I felt that calling, as people like to say when they're called in the ministry. So anyways, to fast forward, I get into my high school years and, I start getting interested a lot into martial arts, started taking a lot of Kenpo karate classes and hiking and got into rock climbing. That's when bungee jumping was big. Started went and did some bungee jumping. Wanted to skydive, like just anything that was like outdoors adventure, that sort of thing. I was a huge blood sport and kickboxer and like all of these martial art movies. Chuck Norris and plus when I was a kid, I loved John Wayne. That's where I got my name, Duke. So I was always, attracted to the adventurous, exciting, side of things, I guess you could say, the dangerous side of things. That's what always kind of got my attention. So anything that other people are like, that's stupid, that's crazy, I don't do that. That was like my, oh, that sounds fun, let's try it. so
when you're the adventurous type, did you have a lot of injuries, or were you like calculated in your adventurousness where like you can kind of like basically avoid a lot of injury based off of just how your mind works in the adventurous type of movements and stuff?
Great question. I didn't have much guidance in that. Like, my dad was a pastor and he liked, fishing and like those outdoorsy stuff, but he wasn't
very stationary things.
Yeah, he wasn't like into the climbing and anything too dangerous or risky like that. So anything I tried, I had to do it kind of secretively and on my own when I was younger because my mother was very overprotective, and if she knew about most of it, she would freak out. So I would experiment jumping off stuff in my yard. We had a trampoline, and I kind of tried to teach myself how to do flips and stuff. And yeah, I hurt myself a lot. And this is in the 70s when trampolines were like different. They were square. They had these metal frames. They had a little thin cushion on the metal frames, but those like came off after like 3 months. They weren't hanging on anymore. And they had a different bed and springs on them to where you could get a lot more height on them. And I propelled myself off of the trampoline, I don't know how many times, onto the ground. My mom thought I broke my neck one time because I literally came off the trampoline and got in a head down diving position and couldn't get out of it until I kind of tucked and I landed on the back of my neck and shoulders from pretty high, and it was so much so that my chin hit my chest, knocked the wind out of me. I don't know how many times I knocked the wind out of me as a kid. I was constantly getting the wind knocked out of me from falling, or when we were at school, the swing sets, those when they had the big swing sets, and me and my friends would see who could jump off the swing and go the furthest, or, be the highest and do a backflip off, or, swing from one swing and try to grab onto the bars of this other swing. I mean, we just did whatever we could imagine in our head, build our own rope swings in the tree houses by us and did, crazy stuff on that. We climbed, there was a mountain by us called Table Mountain that had, cliff faces, and we would go hiking the mountain and try to climb up the cliff face as much as we could. We had no ropes. We didn't know what we were doing. So there was a lot of not so calculated stuff when I was younger. Luckily, or, as my my parents always say that I had very skilled and probably angry guardian angels, because they were always having to take
Never
care,
bored.
watch over me. And they were working overtime. They probably were like, man, how did I get stuck assignment to this guy?
I can
So
just see a couple of angels having a conversation like, hey, who's watching Duke? I don't know. I thought you were watching him. No, I thought you were. Where's Duke?
oh no, hurry up.
No, Duke, wait for me.
No, don't do it. So yeah, man,
Not again.
It was a lot of that stuff. So that was always a part of me, but I never, and I do think back, like I remember my aunt had carpeted stairs, because we didn't have carpeted stairs in our house, just one long, like wood stair going down to the basement. But my aunt had carpeted stairs and like a tri-level with different levels. And I used to just throw myself down the stairs and just roll myself down them, pretending like I was, getting thrown or shot or whatever, and roll down the stairs and stuff. So,
wow.
That was always kind of, and then my sister and I, we actually did some play fighting for a Hi8 video my grandpa took, made our own fight scenes and all that stuff. So I get into college, and I guess I'm probably about 18 at this point. And my mom was in a film class, film school, not school, but class. And there was a low budget martial arts film being filmed in Denver, which didn't happen very often. And so their class had permission to go on a field trip and watch the shooting happen, And so I asked if I could go with them. And so she got permission so I could go and watch what's going on. At this time, I was really into Kenpo karate and stuff. And they were doing a fight scene in this old building. And I was just wide-eyed, man. I'm like, this is so cool, man. They're doing their fight choreo and everything, and then they cut and then they get up and they do it again and take their reactions. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome, right? And then one of the guys gets thrown through a window, and so he's got to go out a window, and it's about, I want to say it was about eight stories or so, and so he had to do a high fall, what's called a high fall in the business, into airbag, which is this inflatable, air bag that when you hit it goes poof, and deflates. And man, I saw that, and it was immediately like it just clicked. I'm like, I don't know how, but I'm gonna do that one day. I have to. I just can't not do it, right? And so that was my big influence to try to start to come into the stunt world. And then it was
I made the sharks an afterthought, right?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because I didn't, I wanted to do stunts, but I didn't think it was going to be a permanent thing, or maybe something that would be a real career. I was more like, I just wanted to experiment and do it for a while and try it and do it and stuff. I didn't know like I'm going to do stunts the rest of my life kind of thing. So I took a break from college, took 2 years off, got my associates in science, and I was going to go back to science.
Because you were going to be a marine biologist, right? Is that what you actually wanted for?
That was the plan. Yeah. And I had started down the science road. I was pretty good at it too. My chemistry teacher, she got me a permission to do an internship at Los Alamos in New Mexico.
Okay, yeah.
Which pretty big deal. But I turned down the internship, still ended up in New Mexico because they were doing a bunch of movies that year. And I went down there with these other buddies, and we tried to break into the movies doing stunts in New Mexico.
Where at?
What's that?
We're at in New Mexico.
We were just outside of Albuquerque in Corrales, New Mexico.
Yeah.
But Santa Fe is not too far. It's only like an hour, a little over an hour from there. So yeah, I met those guys doing a small rinky-dink stunt show in Colorado at a theme park, this Wild West stunt show. They paid $5 a show, but I learned money. I learned basic fights, and I did my first high fall. It was about 20 feet or so there, getting my feet wet, and we went down there in New Mexico and we built our own high fall tower, just scaffolding in the backyard, and dug a pit and put boxes and mattresses in there and practiced high falls. And we had about an acre that we used to take the car around, practice stuff. Then we'd go out back and practice fight scenes and fight choreo. And one guy got this book on how to do fire burns. So we went out there and bought some Nomex and like some Carhartts and, start setting ourselves on fire. And
Let me ask you this, dude. So
crazy stuff. So
when you were a kid,
the beginning. What's that?
When you were a kid, you were solo in this whole thing, doing the stunts, doing the trampoline, all the things. So how cool was it to be around a bunch of guys that got excited about the same stuff that you got excited about? Because that's a whole nother level. When you're around people that are like-minded like you, and or whatever you're doing, have interest in, just like for me, 3D animation. It was just a common thing. It was like, you're just around your own, around your people, your tribe.
Yeah. It's your tribe, like people.
When did it register to you? Yeah. When did it register to you that you're like, dude, this is awesome? Because now you're feeding from other people's excitement and ideas of, hey, let's try this or this. You're like, oh, wow, let's do that. Or when you suggest ideas and like, yeah, that's awesome, let's do that.
That's a good question. I think after I'd done the summer of the live shows, me and these guys used to go to a gymnastics gym, and we used to practice fight scenes and how to take reactions and falling into stuff, and that's when it really clicked. It was like when you're working and training with these other guys that love doing the same thing you do, it just brings the excitement level up so much, and you kind of feed off of each other's passion. And when we moved to New Mexico, we helped each other like get our headshots done and find an agent and go out there and try to find where the movies are and hustle sets, all that sort of thing. So, and then you train and you work out together. So yeah, it was a summer. This was the summer of '93 when I was down there. And, we were doing that. And it's funny, I didn't get any stunt work. I got what's called my Screen Actors Guild card from an acting role that I got hired from auditioning on the Cowboy Way movie. And I got hired to do a scene with Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland. And I'd go like 3 or 4 callbacks, but they liked me. I looked like a rodeo cowboy kind of guy. And so they hired me. I get to set. I meet Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland. You shake their hand and introduce themselves to me. And I was just like, I was blown away, man. I'm like, wow, I'm here on the set with these, big time actors, and they're introducing themselves like they're, a regular Joe Schmo,
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind. But we're going and we're rehearsing the scene, and we're getting ready. The day of, the director comes to me and he says, Duke, I kind of got some bad news. So Travis Tritt is for those who don't know, he's a country western singer. Travis Tritt has to be in this movie because of some contract. And he goes, I don't have like a part for him. So I'm giving him your role. But I'm still going to give you some screen time and a couple lines over here. And it'll just be you and Woody Harrelson together in the screen. And it'll still be a cool thing, but you don't get all the lines in the scene that you had before. So it got cut down. I was a little disappointed in that, but still it was a cool thing, and I mean, I guess, if you're going to lose your part to somebody, then, a big time country western singer is okay, I guess, but I wasn't getting stunt work. And, I moved back to Colorado from New Mexico because it kind of dried up. The movies kind of dried up down there, and I guess I was getting a little homesick or whatever. And so I moved back to Colorado, and I kind of was in a spot where, man, maybe stunts just wasn't it, right? So then um, we go out. So we go out to Las Vegas. It's my 21st birthday. So I go out to Las Vegas, and I'm there. At that time, they had these live stunt shows at the Mirage, was a pirate show, and then there was another live stunt pirate show at MGM Studios. Plus, they had like Excalibur Night Show and all this stuff. So I went and watched these shows, and I went up afterwards to talk to the stunt guys and to see like how I could, come out there and work, right? And I talked to one of the guys who was kind of running the show. He's like, well, probably the best thing. He goes, I'm starting a show in Taiwan, and I need guys to go over there. They're willing to go to Taiwan for like 3-6 months and do a Wild West show at this theme park. And he goes, if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to have auditions in Burbank, California, in like a month or so. And you find your way out there and you audition, and maybe something will happen. So I go back to Colorado, and I make a little VHS tape of some of the stuff that I've done. This way before
or editing.
Editing. Yeah, this is like I had to go to a guy to edit, because there was no way to edit your stuff back then. Really,
Yeah,
it was just too much. But I come back out with this little tape, go out there, get the audition, and end up getting hired to go work a Wild West stunt show in Taiwan. And that was first time getting like paid decent money to do stunts. Ended up over there for like 7 months, and then I came back with some money that I had saved up, and some of the guys that I knew from before were trying to go out to LA to make it. So with the money I'd saved up, I bought an old trailer from like the 70s. Bought an old like 77 4x4 Chevy pickup truck, and hooked it up and drove to California, and found a trailer park in Northridge, and there's one other buddy there, and together we tried. I mean, we tried everything. We trained at like any gym or any training opportunity or any group of guys that we could find to train with. We had to figure out what's called hustling, which is where you've got to find the sets that are being shot in throughout the city that day, and then you have to find the stunt coordinator on the set, and then you have to get his attention, and hand a headshot to him and like tell him what you do. So, and we're like nobodies, like very little resume, right? Nobody knows us. And but we did it, man. We hustled like crazy that year. We went to everything we could find. It was hard because no internet, so you don't know where anything is. You use a Thomas guide, which is a book of maps, to find where the set is, and then you don't know what the coordinator looks like, and you're half the time the ADs or the PAs or the security are looking at you like, what are you doing on my set? And they're trying to get you off the set. So it was challenging, man. It was in nerve-wracking too, but we did that for a whole, I don't know, year almost, 95, and I went to numerous live show auditions for all the theme parks and stuff, and didn't get a single job. And so it was kind of discouraging. I learned a whole lot, but it was also discouraging, and it kind of got broke. We went broke. I didn't have any money left, spent all my money. And we ended up we couldn't afford the trailer park anymore, so we lived on an empty lot that one of the guys knew of, a guy owned, and I ended up doing like maintenance in apartment buildings for like college kids and stuff that were there. And I loved drinking beer at that time, so I spent way too much money and time drinking beer. I wish, looking back, I wish I hadn't quite done that. I think I would have gone further faster. But anyways, it was like, okay, we're whatever, kind of tapped out. So I went back to Colorado, and again, I'm like, oh, well, I gave it my all, but I guess maybe it's just not meant to be. And the guy I worked in Taiwan for, he actually opened up some theme park live shows in Denver, Colorado, where I was at.
What?
So he's like, he called me up this summer. He's like, hey, Duke, I know you're from Colorado. You're in Denver. I got shows there now. Do you want to do them and kind of be like a supervisor too? And so I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, that's cool. Get back into it again, right? So yeah, I started doing the Wild West show and a pirate show there, and we're doing the live show. And after the show's over, one day, three guys come walking up onto our stage, and nobody's supposed to come up there, right? So me and the other stunt guys are like, whoa, 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 you can't come up here. This is off limits, you know. And they're like, oh yeah, I know, we're sorry. We just wanted to talk to you because we're going to make a movie here in a month or so, and we really like your show. We really like you guys, and we want to know if you're interested in being in our movie. me and the other guys are like, yeah, sure, okay, cool. Let's be in your movie, right?
Yeah.
Because I just spent like a year in New Mexico and a year in California trying to get into the movies, and now here in Colorado, just doing a rinky-dink show, and we're approached to be into somebody else's movie. So I'm like, this can't be real, right? So, but it's real, and sure enough, they hired us to be in the movie. So that was my first movie, actually, doing stunts. Did fight scenes, did some high falls. The movie was Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain, and it had Hulk Hogan and Lonnie Anderson in it.
Wow.
But it was a fun, and then they did a couple of more shows in Denver that year, so I got a little bit more set experience, and it excited me, got my fire going again, right? Like, okay. And the whole time, this is like still thinking I might go back to college to do stuff, and as soon as I start planning to go that direction, something with the stunt world draws me back in, you know.
So basically, it'd be like this, right? To where your thoughts are, man, this isn't working out for me like you wanted it to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's not going away either. You keep at the almost like the worst times, you keep getting calls like, "Hey, Duke, do you want to do this?" You're like, "Oh yeah, let's do that."
Exactly. It's almost like every time I kind of go, I guess it ain't working out. Something happens. It's kind of crazy. Wow. So anyways, that kind of goes, that ends up, summer's over, 96, and then it comes into year 97. And a buddy of mine that I knew, that worked with in Taiwan had just come back from doing a live show in Japan. It was a Viking stunt show. And he's like, Duke, it's the coolest show, man. You make so much money. They pay you so well, and it's indoors, and they pay for food and per diem and a place to stay and all this stuff, right? So I'm like, that sounds awesome, man. He's like, okay, well, I'll let you know when they have auditions, right? So he finally, this is 96, I guess. He finally lets me know when the audition is. So I buy my ticket, right, to go out to LA, and I get to the airport, and we got hit by a storm. This is probably November or something like that in Denver, and this snowstorm came in, and it grounded all the flights, and so my flight was canceled, and everybody's getting pushed to the next flight. So sorry, I'm gonna turn my phone ringer off here. And so I go up there to try to get on the next flight, which would just barely get me to LA in time to have my buddy pick me up at the airport, rush over to the audition and do the audition, right? Which was in Burbank, I think. So I'm like, all right, let's see if we get on this flight, right? So I try, and there's no seats left. They're all taken. And I talked to him. No, sorry, they're all taken. Then I even go to the payphone at that time. You could call like the desk and stuff. So I talked to somebody there. I'm like, you have any kind of flights? Can you transfer me to another airline, whatever? Because I got to get to LA by this time. And nothing was happening. Nothing worked out. And I was like, well, I guess that just means it's not meant to happen. And I remember going, well, okay, Lord, okay, God, I guess, if that's what it is, that's what it is, we'll just move on. Right. And my dad, who was with me at the time, because at that time you could walk to the concourses and the gates, it's way before 9/11. Yeah. And we're walking out the concourse and he stops me and he goes, just go over there to that desk row, ask him one more time. I'm like, Dad, I've talked to everybody. There's no seats left. He's like, yeah, just go ask him. Okay, whatever. I walk up to the desk. I'm like, hey, do you have any seats on this flight going to LA? She punches in her computer and she's like, oh, sorry, we've only got one seat left on the plane. And I'm like, that's all I need is one seat. And she's like, oh, I thought you two were flying together. And I'm like, no, it's my dad. He's just dropped me off at the airport. I just need one seat. Oh, okay, well, let me get you in there. She gets me in there, and I have to run back to the gate to catch the flight. Just barely made it.
So you're doing all kinds of stunts just to get to the plane. Dive, tuck and roll, jumping over chairs, hurdling people.
Shoulder check, couple people,
Slow-mo with their luggage and the purse just flying everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, man. And I remember as I'm in the air going to LA, I was overwhelmed with this just over-knowing feeling that I was going to get the audition. I was going to nail it. I was going to get it, and I was going to Japan. It was like too many weird things happened, and it lined up. I was like, this just shows me that I'm gonna get it. I don't know. I guess maybe God was just testing me to see like how I would react if he took it away. I don't know, but
think of it like this: what did Jesus tell Peter or Simon at the time? Go cast your nets out into the deep. But Jesus, we've been out there all night long and didn't catch anything. He's like, go out there into the deep and throw your nets. All of a sudden, another boat had to go and help with such a massive haul of fish.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I never thought of that.
So because your dad, being a godly man, said, son, go, you know what? He had that discernment. Holy Spirit's like, hey, go get him to go over there.
Yeah.
Bam, there you are.
And bam, there I am. So that's cool, man. I like that. I never thought of it that way. So I like that. So anyways, I end up going to Japan. I do a Viking show over there. End up spending, I was 97. I think I ended up spending 7-10 months over in Japan. I can't remember now for sure. I met my future wife on that trip too when I was in Japan. Wow. So it wasn't just, it wasn't just to get the work in Japan. It also led to meeting my wife. So
can you tell us about how you met your wife?
Sure. So yeah, okay. At this time, I was not living a Christian life, like you would imagine. Okay, yeah, I grew up in a pastor child and all that stuff, but as I was sowing my oats, as you could say, going out and experimenting in what is in the world, me and a buddy of mine were at a bar. So we had to, where we were at, it was in a town called Wakayama, and it was about an hour and a half, 2-hour train ride to Osaka, which is the big city. So like if you really wanted to party, you went out to Osaka. That's where all the bars and clubs and stuff were. Thing is the trains close at midnight. So you're stuck in the city all night long, and then they open up again at like 5 in the morning, I think, right? But that's okay because in Japan, the bars stay open till 6, 7, 8
They
o'clock in the
accommodate.
morning. They accommodate. They're open all night long. So it was like if you made the commitment, you made the commitment. Like you were gone, you were out for the night, you know. And so me and my buddy, we did. We went up there. You know, we hit the Hard Rock Cafe and got our, you know, our hamburgers and fries and wings and all that kind of stuff, and
Loaded up.
and then went out to different bars that we heard about, whatever. And it was about maybe the third bar or whatever that we were at, and it was it's kind of known for what in Japan is called a gaijin bar. Gaijin means foreigner, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
it was like a bar where a lot of non-Japanese people kind of hung out and met. There's a lot of Brazilians, tons of Brazilians in Japan. But we ended up going to this bar. And they got some pool tables and a dance floor and whatever. And you know, I was a few drinks in at that point, and I saw this, you know, beautiful woman come walking through the door, Japanese woman. And I'm like nudging my buddy, and I'm like, dude, look at her, check her out, man. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah, she's pretty hot, but you're a chick and you won't go talk to her or nothing. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all right. So I finished my drink and I walk up to her and I realize I don't really have anything I don't have no opening lines, and don't know what to say or nothing. I don't even know if she speaks English, right? So that's basically what I said. I'm like, I don't know if you speak English, but I think you are 2 thumbs up. So that was
Hey there. Notice you walking in, and I thought immediately that was 2 thumbs up.
Real impressive, huh? Yeah. So she looked at me like, well, okay, weirdo, right? So I just kind of like, okay, I'll just be over there. So I kind of
Hey, but you did it.
Around. But I did it, right? I didn't chicken out. I did it.
That's right.
And as I'm walking away, she kind of goes, excuse me. She's like, what's your name or whatever? And I'm like, and you start talking, right? And so we end up shooting pool together the whole night. And she's there with her friend, right? And so they used to go there. She was a really good pool player, by the way.
Did she shark you?
Yeah, she did. Yeah. And she loves to dance. She's a dancer. So she would go, and funny thing is she never drank. She never when she went to the bar, she never drank. It is like she'd share a drink with somebody or something, but she wasn't a drinker. And so I'm playing with pool with her, and I'm trying to impress her, and I'm bragging her like, yeah, I'm a stunt guy. You know, I do a show down here, Wakayama. You know, you guys should come check it out, right? And so it's coming a long time, about that time for us to start heading back, right? And so her friend, you know, I don't feel like I'm really getting that far. So her friend comes up to me and she's like, it's like, hey, if you want to, you know, see her again, we're going to a bar tomorrow to listen to a band play. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, so what's the bar? And she goes, someplace else. And I go, okay, yes, but where? Like, what's the bar? Someplace else. And I go, are you messing with me? Right?
Yeah.
And she's like, no.
But where's the else? I need to find the else.
She's like, no, the bar is called Someplace Else. That's the name of the bar. I'm like, that's the name of the bar, someplace. Okay, all right. Well, maybe I'll see you at someplace else tomorrow night. You know. So anyways, me and my buddy, we take a train back, and or actually no, he stayed because he met I think he was up there with a Brazilian girl. So I rode a train by myself back, right? I fell asleep, missed my stop, woke up to Japanese school kids in their uniforms staring at me on the train with their mouths open, you know, like, who's this big white guy snoring in the train? And I scramble, and I'm like, where am I at? And I run off. I had to go back to my stop, you know, several stops to get off. I had to work that day. I had to do like I don't know, 3 or 4 stunt shows, I think maybe. Get off work, and I'm back at the apartment complex, and I'm tired. I'm beat. I'm just like, oh man, I really need to sleep. So I'm getting ready to just call it a day. And one of the stunt girls that did the show with us, I guess she asked some other people. She's like, hey, dude, I'm going to town. I'm going to Osaka tonight, and I'm going to watch this band. There's a guy that I met in the band, and so I want to go, watch him and stuff. And I'm like, yeah. I go, I'm pretty burned out. I'm tired. I don't think so. She's like, she goes, dang, yeah. She's like, I've asked a bunch of people. Nobody wants to go up there tonight. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, And I go, so where are you going to watch this? What's the bar? She's like, it's like this really weird name. She's like, I don't know. I think it's called Someplace Else. And I'm like, wait, what? She's like, the bar name is Someplace Else. And I'm like, I'm like, whoa. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, sure. I'll go up with you. So, so I ended up going up there because I had no intention of going back. I thought it was like she was just making stuff up or whatever, and it was just not whatever. But I go back up the second night, and I didn't feel like drinking, and I just was like, just being more chill or whatever. And I went up, and there she was, my wife to be. She was hanging out with her friend, and ended up just having a more chill night, talking a lot more and hanging out, dancing a little bit. Kind of hit it off, and so she was like, yeah, maybe I'll come down and check out your show. And I said, I'll get you free tickets, So she comes down a few days or a week or so later, checks out the show, and ends up taking me all the way around, Osaka and Kyoto and stuff like that. And next thing you know, I'm asking her to marry me, so.
Duke, man, that's really neat because, like, I think the only perfect person that walked this earth was Jesus. And we all come from somewhere. We all have stories, whether we're raised in religion or not, or whatever it may be. And I think that is such a neat story in itself. And I appreciate you sharing that with us because, man, there's your wife to be, and you met her. It doesn't matter where you met her. It sounds like that could be a story all in itself, a movie all in itself of just how you met her. And then she came to you to your show where you're, like, yeah, I'm a stunt guy. And then she's like, oh, he is a stunt guy. He wasn't just all blah, blah, blah. Because how many guys talk a bunch of junk, And you're over there like, you have actions behind your words. And she's probably going, I like this American guy. And the fact that she knew English, you can communicate with her.
Yeah, true.
So that's a neat story, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, man. Thanks. When people ask, like, how'd you meet your wife? I always go, all right, do I give them the sanitized version or do I just tell them how it really happened? Depending on which crowd I'm with, But,
you gotta read your table.
But any more of these days, I'm like, I don't care what you think of me. This is my life. This is what happened. This is how it went down. So,
and how long has
judge
it been?
me? Don't judge me. Whatever, So.
And how long have you been married?
Well, it'll be 25 years this December.
Wow! Congratulations, quarter of a century.
We dated 4 years before I married her too, because I just wasn't sure about the whole marriage thing really for a long time, and I would go back and forth. I'd do like a contract in Japan, and then I'd go back and lived in LA at the time, so I'd go and work in LA doing live shows. I did the Magic Mountain Batman and Robin show where I broke my neck. I fell from about 18 feet off of a wire out of a clip that wasn't supposed to fail, bounced off some of the set, hit the concrete, and ended up breaking my neck and had to go to the hospital in a Batman costume, which was quite.
You're gonna go. You got to go in style.
You got to go in style. That's right, man. That's right. And it's funny because the show I broke my neck in. So my wife was actually visiting. She wasn't married to me yet, my girlfriend, wife now, she was visiting me, and it was the first Batman show that she came to watch when she was visiting me, and that's the show that I broke my neck in. So that was crazy. Um, but yeah, I did Batman show. I did. I worked at Universal Studios in Japan. In Hollywood. I did and I worked at Universal Studios in Japan too. Because after the Viking show was done, I auditioned and I went to Japan to do the Wild West show at Universal Studios. Did that for a couple of years. But in Hollywood, I did the Wild West show, and I did the Waterworld show at Universal. We did a show called Hot Set, which was like it was a fake movie set, but the people didn't know it was fake. But
Oh, wow.
we made it look like we were doing a real action fight scene, on the back lot in Universal, and so did that. And then I did Knott's Berry Farm Wild West show, did Pirate Dinner Theater, and I did Phantasmic also as playing Pirate and Captain Hook back in the day. So did a bunch of live shows in LA, and that's really what kept me going for a lot of years. Because if you don't know anybody in the business, and if you're not like a superstar athlete or Olympic athlete or something, it's hard to get into stunts because it's very competitive, and the ones that really excel, like they're like Olympic level, martial artists, gymnasts,
Oh,
high divers, um, professional motocross, race car drivers, whatever, right? But I didn't have any of that background, didn't do gymnastics. I mean, I did martial arts, but I started later than most people, so I wasn't no, Jean-Claude Van Damme or
you
Bruce
weren't a
Lee.
full-fledged ninja, you're saying?
I wasn't a full-fledged ninja. So yeah, man. I mean, it was a long road for me, but uh, I ended up being one of those well-rounded. So like I could fight, I could fall because I was always the high fall character in the live shows, the bad guy that gets shot, spits the blood on the sign, and then falls into the pads at the end. I did that probably over 10,000 times, man. Maybe more
It's a
than
lot of
that.
time.
I can't even count how many times. If I had to count how many times I died, it would couldn't do it. I mean, I'm always the bad guy. It seems like, and I always get killed at the end of the show. So, but I could fight, and I could do high falls. I did the Waterworld show. I did the fire dive roll. So I'm setting on fire, going 50 feet into the water. I was also the hero, so I was like the mariner character, so I could do stand-up jet skis. Uh, did the Batman show where I had to do some motorcycle stuff, some jumping and some sliding and some what they call high side, to crash it and learn how to lay it down. Um, rappelling and slide for life, and getting ratcheted where you got weight or air ratchet that yanks you back, and doing rope swings, at the pirate shows, just a little bit of everything, so when I moved out to Atlanta in 2014, at that time I had probably like 15 to 20 credits, movie credits, TV show credits, maybe not even that many, honestly, probably, because a lot of those were like student films and independent shows. And I used to help out with the Christian Film Festival, the 168 Film Festival in LA. And so I would help shoot with the camera because I went to film school, or I do the stunt coordinating on them. So I'd put those on my resume. So I kind of fluffed up my resume a little bit to give me like 20, 25 credits, right? But like real movie TV show credits was like
Handful.
6 or 7 or something. You know what I mean? Handful. So I finally decided, after years of doing live shows, and also I was completely out of live shows altogether for, let's see, 99 to 2000, so 2 years, and then 2003 to, for probably close to 10 years, because when I broke my neck, I was out for a couple years or a year. And then after I came back from Japan, I went to Colorado and tried to do a trail mix business. And I was there for 5, 6 years. So I was out of the business for a while, and it was hard getting back into it again. But again, it was one of those things where I was like, I'm done with stunts. And then I wasn't happy in Colorado. I had finished up a film school, and I thought, oh, I'll write and direct. That wasn't going nowhere. I was working at Pizza Hut and movie theaters and construction work and valet jobs,
Wow.
and I'm in my late 30s at this time, and my wife saw how miserable I was, and she's like, let's move back to California, and why don't you start doing stunts again? And I'm like, I'm almost 40 years old. I don't know if I can do that, but she finally pushed me enough, and I did, and got back into live shows. And then again, was only doing live shows mostly. And then I heard that Atlanta was picking up with movies and TV, and it was kind of a better market to break into because there wasn't as much competition.
Sure.
And so I was like thinking about the move, but then at the last minute, I'm like, I backed out because I'd have to quit my live show jobs, which even though were awesome money, we were getting by, right? And I was doing what I love, I guess, right? So I'd have to basically quit those. And she's like, no, we got to do this. Just move to Atlanta. Just do it. And she pushed me to move out to Atlanta because I wouldn't have done it on my own, supported me there. And we moved out to Atlanta, and it was a good move because there weren't a lot of stunt people. At the time, there was maybe 50 in Atlanta, and most of them weren't very experienced. They came from different aspects of the film industry and were trying to get into stunts. But most of them didn't have a lot of actual experience doing stunt work. And I had been doing live shows, so I was doing fights, high falls, ratchets, rappels, fire burns, everything on a daily basis, multiple times a day for years on end, right? So some of the coordinators saw that, and they're like, oh yeah, well, this guy, at least we know this guy's going to get the job done. And so I started getting a lot of work in 2014, and we stayed in Atlanta, and it led to a lot of good things. Worked on a lot of shows here. Marvel movies, Walking Dead, all those teenage vampire shows, originals when we first started, to like MacGyver, a lot of MacGyver stuff, and then just so many different movies that came into town. And I'm not the specialist, so like if it's a specialty big stunt, they bring in a specialty guy to do that. But I get killed and shot and knocked down and hit and blown up and set on fire, and over and over and over and over and over again, and little acting roles because I can act. A lot of stunt guys who are really good physically, they don't want to talk and they don't want to act. They just want to do their big gag and that's it. And I enjoy acting. I like acting and I'm good at it. So I got a lot of stunt acting type roles too, where I have a couple lines and then the guy punches me or shoots me or whatever. So yeah, in fact, the very first season of Stranger Things, I got hired to be like I guess you'd call it like an FBI detective or something. And the coordinator's like, yeah, man. He's like, it's a really simple thing. You're going to get knocked out, hit on the back of the head, And leading up to that, you're just like getting out, you're pulling up in a car and getting out and walking around, and you look under in a bus, and then you stand up and you get whacked on the head. So I was like, oh, man, piece of cake, whatever, cool. They shoot it, and so when they shot it, it was on a single camera setup, and it was a steady cam, and the guy was like, he like came in right out on me when I pulled into the car, because there were other guys in other cars, but he came right in, focused on me. I get out of the car, he follows me as I walk around this whole junkyard, and I'm looking everywhere for these kids. I'm looking under buses and everything, and he's with me the whole time. And there's no other cameras, no other cuts, nothing else going on. And then as I open the door of the bus to see inside the bus, the kind of the hero of the show comes up behind me, who was the sheriff at the time, whacks me on the head with his gun, knocks me out, and I fall, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't say anything. It was all just looks and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Acting. But I remember thinking, I'm like, they didn't shoot that like other things where they shoot a little bit here, then change this angle and something else. I'm like, they've only got this one long take. Yeah. I'm like, I wonder how they're going to cut that up, or maybe they'll just use the very end of it or something, right? Well, the episode comes out, and they used the whole take from top to bottom. And it was probably, I want to say, the whole thing was like at least 2 minutes probably of me. And it was just me. That's it. And I was like on the screen big time. And I got so many people that recognized me and called me from that, because that's when Stranger Things was really starting to get popular. Mm-hmm. And they're like, dude, I saw you on Stranger Things. That was so cool.
Like, yeah, like, did you like the way I looked? Like, yeah.
And I had a big mustache too, which my sister always made fun of. But yeah, I was like, I didn't even know what Stranger Things was. Like when they shot it, it was the first season, and they're like, oh yeah, it's some kids show. They're going on Netflix. And I'm like, yeah, okay, nobody will probably hear of it. I didn't tell anybody I did it. Didn't know it was anything. And then all of a sudden, people started contacting me like, I saw you on Stranger Things, and I'm like, Stranger Things? Wait, what was Stranger Things? I'm trying to remember what was that? Like, oh yeah, that's right. So I started looking it up, and it's like a big popular show now, and like a very recognizable part that I did. So you never know, man. You show up on set days. Most of the time, I have no idea what I'm doing. They very vaguely tell you you're getting shot, you're falling off a horse, you're doing a little driving thing. I mean, it's just like you don't know a lot. You show up. There's so many things I worked on that I had no idea what they were, because they're brand new or never heard of them. So I don't know if they're a big show or not. And you just show up, and you do your thing and have fun, and sometimes they're a big deal, and other times nobody knows about it, nobody sees it, nobody cares. Your part gets edited on the floor. So that's why I stopped telling people. I don't tell people, yeah, I worked on this, so you got to go see it, because so many times I tell them, and I did like a big stunt or a big thing, and they completely cut it, and it's not in the movie. And so I got tired of being disappointed and disappointing other people. So I just quit telling people what I do. And then I'll kind of remember I worked on something, so I'll buy it on Amazon or whatever. I'll say, I wonder if they kept my thing in there or not. And then I'll watch it and say, oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. They kept some of it. Yeah. But yeah, it's not like a lot of people imagine like, oh yeah, you're so excited because you worked on this and you're telling everybody, and like the production's going to let you know when it comes out, and you're going to go to a red carpet and da-da-da-da-da. Most of the stuff I forget about until I see it come up on Amazon, and I'm like, yeah, I think I worked on that. I'll see if they kept it in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. My sister always, she's like, we never know what you do. We never know what you work on. You never tell us anything. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Sometimes I don't even know what I worked on that actually was seen.
Yeah, I have to go look at my own IMDb to kind of remember stuff. I mean, it's not bragging, but yeah, it has been a lot of different things through the years, sure. And it kind of all blurs together. And like every stuntman excuse, I really have hit my head a lot of times. And I have done a lot of drinking in my younger days. So all that stuff kind of
Blurs
your
a little
brain
bit.
mixes with your brain a little bit, you know.
You know, Duke, we do have a hard stop, but I do want to ask one question. Is there a
Yeah.
stunt or a time in a movie where, as you're doing it, you're like, this is the money shot, or this is like, it came together better than I even anticipated? Is
Yes,
it?
I got a really good example of that
All
actually.
right, let's hear it.
Um, so I got hired to work on this movie in Malaysia. It was a Chinese movie, all Chinese actors, but it was a big time stunt coordinator, and a friend of mine asked me to come over because I was getting a big opportunity, which is to do what they call in the business a car turnover. A car turnover is like when you see in the movies, cars going, gets blown up, goes to the side, rolls, spins in the air, hits the ground, boom, 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 right? In the stunt world, that's almost like that's the cream of the crop stunt. That's the stunt that everybody wants to do. One is the coolest, right? What's cooler than watching a car blow up and fly through the air and spin and hit and crash and roll, right? It's the coolest looking. It's the most expensive stunt to do, and you get paid the most to do it. So when you do a stunt, you get a daily contract wage, and then you get what's called a stunt adjustment that's based on the difficulty and risk and danger of the stunt you're doing. So car turnovers are considered dangerous, risky, and highly skilled. So it's usually just the very top guys in the business that get those calls. They get to do those. Guys that have been driving for years, know cars inside and out. They've done turnovers, they've done races, they've done whatever, right? So my buddy's like, "Hey, you want to do a car turnover?" He's like, "It's going to be in Malaysia. It's not like an American movie, but it's a big like blockbuster Chinese movie potentially, and it's going to be a really cool gag. But you know, I can't ask the normal guys in the business because I can't afford. It's just not a huge budget movie. I can't afford to pay them what they're going to ask to do this stunt, right?
Yeah.
So I need somebody who will take a little less, but that I know can do it and trust them and wants to do it." And I'm like, yes, yes, and yes, I want to do it. So I got taken to Malaysia. I did actually got to do two car turnovers on that show and two car jumps. But the big car turnover that I'm talking about was I'm driving a Defender. I don't know if you guys remember what a Defender was, but I think this was a early '90s model, and it's a four-wheel drive that Toyota made back in like the '80s, '90s, right? Kind of a classic thing, but it's big, heavy, four-wheel drive, and it's a right-hand drive, so it's totally not what I'm used to, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so it has to look like it's a volcano movie, right? So this volcano is exploding, and it's supposed to look like a big pyroclast flies down, hits right on the side of the car, blows up the car, turning it over, and then it's supposed to go over the cliff as it's blown up and turning. It's not just rolling; it's going to go down a cliff about 20 feet, and it's all this jagged rock. It's not like a clean cliff or dirt. It's just a whole thing of like jagged rocks. And then you're going to roll down this, land at the bottom of the cliff. And in the script, the thing lands on its wheels facing backwards, unhurt pretty much, because now the hero of the story has to put it in reverse and drive the whole like rest of the movie in reverse, trying to get away from the lava and the volcano, and everything. Which I had to do a lot of reverse driving on that show too, which was very difficult in a Defender that's on fire through the jungle. But
all the things.
all the things. So I'm really nervous about this because I did one car turnover before this with another old Toyota truck, but it was just the car turnover on its side, kind of roll a couple times, right? This one is like this whole cliff that's going down. Not only that, they got a whole camera crew that's right in front of me, pointed, facing me, because they want to get this nose-on picture of the car coming at them, blowing and rolling, right? So they got cameras. One's a guy with a camera. The other one's a camera that's on a dolly that they can pull on a track. And I'm nervous because I'm like if I don't go right down that hill, I could potentially take out some of the camera crew, you know. But it's Malaysia, and so I say this, and the Malaysians, oh no, we're fine, we'll get out of the way. We'll put a little wire on the cameraman. We'll pull him, or I'm like, it's not the way they shoot in America.
Right.
OSHA's not involved. Safety
OSHA. Yeah.
Are not. Yeah, I just say it's a little sketchy.
Different setup.
Different setup. So I'm like, man, I don't want to kill a camera guy, you know, and I don't want to screw this up. And I really don't know how it's going to roll with all this rocks and stuff. And it's not just a roll; it's like down a slope. And I'm like, and then the stunt corner's like, we really would like this to land backwards on the wheels, you know. And I'm like, and we're like trying to figure it out. And finally,
easy. 10 minutes.
He's an experienced stunt coordinator, and he's finally like, dude, I really don't know how we can rig this in a way to make sure that happens. So just do the best you can. If we got to edit it and cut it somehow later, we'll figure it out, right? So like, okay, so I'm in my helmet. I'm in all my wearing my fire suit because in case something on fire. Oh yeah, and to set this up, so you always have a safety meeting on set, before you do a big set like this. So they gather the whole crew around, and the safety guy's like, okay, so we're doing this stunt, and we got these fire extinguishers, we got these guys, that are on them. We've got this guy who's ready to run in and break the window, whatever, if we need to
give
do
you
that.
Some assurance you have backup, that you're not going to get
back. But the only thing it's doing to me is putting a bunch of bad images in my mind, right? Because he's going like, because everybody's asking, well, what if the car starts on fire? What if we can't get him out? What if the door's stuck? What if the window is break? What if he's stuck upside down and the roof is crushed in? And I mean, they're just all these people are asking questions, which I get it. That's cool. They need to do that, but for me, it was just putting a bunch of negative thoughts in my head, right? before this happens. So I finally tapped the stunt coordinator on the shoulder. I'm like, hey man, is it okay if I step out of this meeting? I know what I got to do, so I just don't want to hear this. He's like, yeah, go. It's cool. So I stepped away from the safety meeting, and I was just focusing on what I got to do, and visualizing it like over and over, because you got to hit the ramp exactly right at the right speed. You got to twist the wheel just right when it's on its two wheels to make it do the right thing. And so I'm just visualizing it like over and over. And you can't look at the speedometer because you got to line the ramp up, and then the pyro guy's got to blow his pyro at just the right time too. If he's too early or too late, it messes up the shot, or I can't see what I'm doing because there's an explosion in front of me. So there's all these factors, and finally they're like, okay, let's get you in the trucks. I get in the Defender, and I'm sucked in. They do put a 5-point harness on me, and they get it really, really suck you down the seat really hard and really in there tight, right? And I've got a neck collar on, and I've got a full face helmet. I've got this hot fire suit on, all these gloves. I've got wrist constraints that are on the steering wheel, so as you're flipping around the car, your arms aren't going all over the place, right?
Oh, sure.
Or going out a broken window, and then the car, chops it off, rolls on it. So you're really constrained in this tight, hot environment. And I like to do a lot of crazy stuff, but the one thing that bothers me is claustrophobia. I don't like being in small places. I don't like feeling trapped. I don't like, and so doing this whole car stunt, the only thing I was afraid of is if something happens, I'm stuck upside down and they can't get me out, right? And I'm in this thing. That's the only thing that really is messing with my mind. And then if somehow gas ignites and something's on fire and I'm stuck in there, those are the things like I don't want to think about, right? I'm trying to keep out of my mind. but it's so hot. It's the middle of summer in Malaysia, and I'm sweating and I'm stressed and I'm trying to vision this over and over again. And they're just taking their time, man. Like I sat in there looking at this ramp for like 45 minutes at least, getting ready to do this stunt. And it's getting to the point where I've sweat so much at this point, I'm afraid I'm going to dehydrate and I'm going to have like muscle spasms and cramps and stuff, because I've done that before. So I'm just like taking these deep breaths and trying to relax, visualizing everything's going to be fine. I'm like, I always do a prayer. I say, okay, I know, God, you wouldn't put me in this position if I wasn't capable of pulling it off and doing it, right? So I'm just doing all these things, right? Finally, it's like, okay, action. And it's like, oh my God. So I'm just focusing on it and trying to really see where the ramp is, because I'm on the opposite side of the car that I usually drive on. And it's the left tire that has to hit this wheel ramp just right. And the wheel ramp ain't much higher, fatter than the tire is. So I'm really focusing on trying to get that ramp and trying to glance at my speed, keep it straight on line. The pyro goes off here and I hit the ramp and the car just like your whole landscape view just starts rolling, to the side. And I see this camera guy in front of me and his eyes are like huge and somebody like pulls him out of the way. And then I'm like kind of just gliding at a perpendicular, like 180 degrees, right? And I'm floating. I'm like floating in the air. Nothing's touching the ground at this point. No wheels or nothing. And so I can't really turn the wheel to get the turn over, right? So at this point I'm kind of along for the ride. And all of a sudden now the nose starts nosing down. And so now I can see the side of the hill and I can see the ground where I'm going to land, coming at me. But it's spinning and it's kind of doing like a pirouette. So now I'm spinning around. And then as it spins around, it's hard to describe, but it starts flattening out. So I thought I was going to nosedive into the ground. But the physics and the weight or whatever, it starts kind of flattening out again. And I just hit like the very bottom of the slope and the bottom of the ground. And I kid you not, dude, it set me up to where I landed on my wheels facing backwards, just how they wanted it in the shot.
No 3D effects.
They didn't have to do any effects. They didn't have to cut it. They didn't have to edit it. Like it just, boom, just happened, right? And it was the most amazing feeling. Like it was like, thank you, God, for keeping me safe, first of all, but for it working out perfectly, right?
Wow.
And the coordinator, they cut and come out and they get me out, and like everybody's ecstatic. And the director's like, "How did you guys do that? How did you make it happen like that? How did you plan that?" And the coordinator just kind of winks at me. And he's like, "Oh, that's why you hire the professionals,
Roll with it, baby. Yeah.
And he's like, "Bravo!" He was a British guy. "Bravo, guys! Bravo! That was amazing." And everybody was just like confounded. And I just looked at Corey like, "Dude, how did that happen?" He's like, "Man, I don't know. That was amazing, but let's just let's just take the credit and move on." I'm like,
give me out of the suit and give me some cold water.
My legs were cement, dude. I couldn't even walk. I'd spent so much energy and sweat so much. It was amazing. But my wife was there. She helped me get out, and I took all that stuff off, and I'm just like,
wow, that's cool,
like,
man.
wow, thank you, Lord, thank you, God, that was cool. Yeah, that was amazing. Never forget that.
That's a great story to end with. I know you got to run, but man, thank you so much, Duke, for spending some time with me today, and you had me just lost in your stories, and so I appreciate that. everybody that watches this show really has a good time
Yeah.
with the same thing.
I hope
It's a different world for most people.
What's that?
It's a different world for most people.
Yeah, right.
So, man, well, I appreciate you, Duke, so much.
It was my pleasure. We'll have to do it again, man.
Yeah.
You
saying there's a part 2 coming up?
Sure, man. I mean, I got a lot of them. I got a lot of stories. So yeah, we can talk. Man. I'm sure. Dude, stunt guys got so many stories. It's not even funny. Like that's
like truck drivers.
So people watching the show, if you like stunts, is it okay if I promote myself real quick?
Please do, man.
If you like stunt stories, I would do my own podcast. It's on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify. It's called Philosophical Fall Guy. And I interview other stunt guys, coordinators, who've been even business longer than me, are done way crazier stuff than me. And we go into it. So if you like that sort of thing, check it out. Thanks.
It should be playing. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. But that's not you, right? That's you. Okay. The YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. It's just, that's my name. That's my real, honest to goodness, God-given name right there. Daniel Joshua.
Joshua. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Joshua's kind of an adventure kind of guy himself, wasn't he? Little giant and stuff, you know.
Daniel survived living with in the lion's den, and
yeah, I mean, it's
so.
Just,
so they're adventurous guys. They're adventurous guys. It's just, I don't know. I was a little kid. I liked John Wayne. They called me Little Duke, and then it stuck. And next thing I know, I'm Duke, and it works. It works because there's not very many Dukes around, so kind of works well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Duke, appreciate you again, and I don't want to keep you from your appointment, but thank you so much, and thank you all for watching this show. And please like and subscribe, and watch some of Duke's podcasts, and he has some pretty cool film shorts. But yeah, so thanks everybody. Until next time, we'll see you.
Yeah. Peace. Bye, everybody.